Hi, I'm Steve Offner and I'm on the couch today with Associate Professor Andrew Lynch from the Gilbert and Tobin Centre of Public Law. Andrew, can you tell me a bit about the work that the centre does?
Sure, Steve. The centre has a number of projects. I suppose the thing that really defines public law is it's where law and politics intersect. It has a lot to do with the way in which Australians are governed today. And so one of our projects deals with the possibility of a human rights charter or a Bill of Rights in Australia. Another deals with terrorism laws and their impact on the community. Another again deals with the impact of law upon Indigenous communities.
Okay, and in this kind of work there's been some major changes in recent years, hasn't there, especially in the area of terrorism?
Yeah, there has been. In terrorism law, of course, before 9/11, Australia didn't have any national laws dealing with terrorism at all. Since then, the Commonwealth government's passed close to 50 in number. And so we've had to get our heads around this new challenge and what it means for law and the criminal justice system.
Mm-hmm. But how real is that threat of terrorism for Australia?
Well, I think we have to accept that the threat is as real as the government tends to present it to us. What the critical question, though, is how can we effectively respond to it in a proportionate and measured way so that we don't end up sacrificing civil liberties or changing the system through which criminals are normally dealt with. That's where the challenge for lawyers lies.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that's happening at the moment?
Yeah, I think so. I think for a while there, really the whole Western world was so enthralled to the threat of terrorism that a lot of excesses crept in, and America really led that by example. And Australia was certainly a part of that as well. But in more recent times, there's encouraging signs that a bit more proportionality is entering into how we should respond to these threats.
Mm-hmm. So how can we ensure that our rights aren't trodden on?
I suppose engagement is the easy answer for that, really. If people are concerned about what governments are doing, whether their right to privacy is being whittled away, whether there are restrictions on their ability to speak freely, or to protest against things that they don't like in their community, they should be in touch with their local members. They should tune in to political debates. And if they're not happy with developments, they should feed that back to politicians and say, these are steps that the community doesn't really support.
Mm. But this assumes that people are quite well informed about their rights and what's a good thing and what's not. Mm. Do you think people are in Australia?
I think that's a good question. I think a lot of people have sort of tended to just trust the government, that it knows what it's doing, and to not really critically examine a lot of the proposals that are put forward because they think, oh, well, this will keep me safe. Really, I think people do need to find out more. One way of doing that is to get in touch with civil liberties organisations or the Australian Muslim Civil Rights Advocacy Network. They've produced a great booklet, particularly for their communities in Australia, on the impact that ASIO and police can have upon people's lives. There's plenty of stories out there now. I think the Hanif affair in 2007 was a really signature moment, actually, to the wider community, that things had changed and they needed to get interested.
Mm-hmm. And recently we've had the change of government in the United States with the Obama administration. Do you see, or do you think that there will be a change in approach?
Yeah, well, already there has been, just in the last 24 hours, someone who's been at Guantanamo Bay for many years, their criminal trial, such as it was, which was before the discredited military commission system, which David Hicks was dealt with, this person's case has been moved to the federal court system. What this signals is that America is coming back into the fold of those nations who recognise that you have to deal strongly with terrorism, but you can do so within the rule of law, and you don't create an exceptional space in which you deal with the threat of terrorism. You need to confront it head on, but obviously within the system and its standards that applies throughout the community.
And if anyone out there is interested in taking up this area of study and becoming a lawyer dealing with public law, how would they go about that?
I suppose obviously they've got to get a law degree, and you can specialise through choosing electives which would deal with national security and human rights issues. That would be the way to do further study in that area. What you can then do with that, you could work as a criminal lawyer, you can represent people who are involved in these kind of crimes, or a job with government in the Attorney General's division. There's a security division as part of that, which is concerned with the oversight of all of these laws, or also community legal centres who have contributed really well to these debates.
Thank you, Andrew, and we'll see you next time on The Couch.